All right. Well, I disinfected the studio. We're getting ready to do some renovations. Pretty excited about all of this, but it's about you guys today. I want to thank the sponsors. Head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com. Go check out the list of sponsors. I want to thank Rhino Metals for a great year. Gallo Technologies. Right On Optics. Blackwater Ammunition. Volquartsen Firearms, and Scott Volquartsen particularly. Great crew. I love those guys. Manscaped. Appreciate those guys. And Kenzie's Optics for their support throughout the year. Keith and Katie, awesome group. Great crew over there. Appreciate their support. Trigicon, Chuck Warm. Appreciate them. Appreciate everybody that supports the show. I got this crazy mug someone sent me for Christmas. It's enormous. It's wood. We'll see how long it lasts. But I appreciate everything. I appreciate all the sponsors, everybody who supports the show. I rarely do a standalone episode, as everybody knows. It's very rare. But I felt it was appropriate at the end of the year to kind of take a look back, thank everybody, spend some time with just you guys, recap a little bit, some of my, favorite moments, favorite guests, I guess, and just really reflect a little bit and thank all of you. So to everybody listening, I can't express it enough. I appreciate so much all the support that everybody who listens gives. And we're going to do a lot of fun stuff in 2021. Hopefully to reward some of that too. That's coming. It's been one of those years that I don't know it can be put into words. I don't think I can give some amazing sentence that will sum up the year or will tell you how to put the year into context, which I think a lot of people try to do in these types of episodes. I can only say that survival first is the number one ingredient in the formula. If you're out there, I was thinking about this the other day. I took a minute. I was watching ESPN 30 for 30. And I watched an episode I hadn't seen. I was just kind of futzing around, and I watched the Bobby Knight episode. And it was really interesting watching his career, him as a coach, winning national championships, and how hard he was on himself, on players, and his demand. And, he ultimately got fired from Indiana for putting, his hands on a kid, which he never should have done. Don't get me wrong. But what caught my eye was how much times had changed and how much everything around an aging man had changed. And I reflected on that. Bobby Knight was a very, even in his time, was a bit of an eccentric coach. He was one of those, and I had coaches like this, like no water breaks, you got to be tougher than the other team, and blah, blah, blah. And we those of us that are in my age group lived through that. The younger kids will never really understand that because you can't look at a kid funny today. And that just shows you how much has changed and how much has evolved. That watching this story, what this guy got away with over the years at IU, and I don't mean to say get away with like taking any of his merits away. He was raised in a different era. It was a different time. Everything about it was different. And you look back at other coaches, the way that they use not just profanity, the way they talk to players, the way they approach things. Tommy Lasorda, all these different guys, Jim Leland in baseball. There were so many, through the years. And I had coaches like this We used to do triple sessions in football and things like that. I mean, it was preposterous. It was insane. It was all Iron Man shit. And none of it ever made sense to me even at the time. But I was always a little bit of a progressive kind of, how I approach media in terms of like how I look at things. Like I was like, why don't we rest more? I had a little bit of a different mindset always in that regard. Like I was like, I don't think this makes us tougher, but what do I know? Let's go with it. But I think there's a lot of things that shape the times that we live in. And a lot of people will ask, do you genuinely believe what you say, right? Like we get that a lot. Like, do you genuinely believe like the things you hear or the things you say or whatever? Is it, what's real and what isn't? And I do genuinely believe in this country and where we are, that we are getting a little bit softer. We are getting a little bit more sensitive. And we are moving a little bit towards where like, you can't say that, you're going to like their feelings and, oh my God. And, but that person, they have feelings and everybody has feelings and someone's going to be offended. And I've said this many, many times on the show. Look, you're going to upset people, okay? And my line of work, and whenever I was in a business for years that was very cutthroat, and even in the firearms business, very cutthroat. And when I came into this, even on the media side, I mean, you'd post a picture and everybody would go bananas, like people would lose their mind, right? So I watched this 30 for 30 and I turned it off. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm getting older, I find myself like kind of reflecting and thinking about stuff, like thinking about this. And I was like, wow, watching someone's journey from the 1950s, 60s, whatever it is, to today, what an interesting journey, right? What an interesting, like, you almost get the feeling like the world around him was changing. And I'm not saying, like I said, anything he did was right. I think he was an extreme case. But I think the world around him was changing in such a way that he couldn't keep up with the change. It just was changing too quick to the point where you couldn't do those things. I mean, I'm sure Bobby Knight has a great explanation. Like he looked at the kid like a son and all this stuff. And I'm sure that's real. Because I do believe he loved basketball and I do believe he loved the people he coached. But his desire to win outweighed, common sense in some situations and in some scenarios. And I see that a lot in the way people approach other people. So when I do podcasts or when I speak or somebody asks me to be on their podcast or other things, a lot of times they want to talk about networking, they want to talk about relationships, they want to talk about brands, they want to talk about marketing, they want to talk about a lot of things as it pertains to people. But at the root of it is relationships with people. And I'm not sometimes the nicest guy, but I try to be the straightest shooter in the room. And I pride myself on giving an honest answer, whether they want to hear it or not. And I've said many times that's cost me jobs. That's cost me relationships. That's cost me a lot of things. But one thing it's never cost me is it's never cost me to jeopardize my integrity. Okay? I stand by what I say. And if I say this happened or that didn't happen or I believe in this or I don't believe in that, I can stand by that because I always try to give an honest answer no matter how painful it is to the receiver. And I think we live in an era now where the padding has become so great. Like we pad the answer, right? We put padding around it. We put safety around it. We put bumpers. And we try to protect the receiver of the information. And we're in a society where everybody wants to become an it. Nobody's a man. Nobody's a woman. Nobody's like, everybody's starting to become an it. And that's a very dangerous thing because it allows people to weave in and out of this tightrope of pronouns and of identification. And no one, in the end, nobody has to claim responsibility, right? So no one has to claim the ultimate, which is I'm responsible for my actions, or I'm responsible for this or this, and I think everybody's become too comfortable just being outraged or just being upset. You tell someone you don't like them, or it's just you go your separate ways. That's the way it used to be. Now people have to be outraged. They have to be freaked out. There has to be like, it's you, it's not me. It's this, it's not that. We've entered into a funky time. And I think to a lot of the generation, particularly, the Trump administration meant a little bit of a reset to those times when you could say what you felt. Now, this isn't meant to be political, though it is a recap. I just wanted to share my thoughts on where I saw things evolving and things taking a turn. And I do believe in my heart 100%. Everybody should be heard. People should be heard. But we're entering a unique time. And it's a very funky time where you have, whether it's news outlets, whether it's this, everybody's kind of jockeying for their own sense of self-worth, their microphone, their sounding board, their desire to be heard. And some want to please everybody and some want to not please anybody. But I think the media, particularly the larger news entities, are at a very particular crossroad because they're not trusted across the board. Across the board. I think that includes Fox. I think that includes every entity because they're trying so hard to overcompensate for everything, that's being done on the other side, that they're getting so far off the far end of some things that they're missing some of the basics that need to be course corrected. And by that, I mean, really simply, if you watch Fox, they even sometimes pander to trying to please certain genres to almost like okay, we get it. Okay? It's like the kid at the party that tries too hard. Relax. And it's a great lineup over there. And we see this, everywhere. And they're doing a better job than most because at least they're reporting stuff that isn't being reported. So I give them credit there. Now, with that being said, I think the rise of streaming, social media, particularly people's ability to build an audience the last 10 years has become an amazing thing to watch. And I think it's going to continue. And it's going to continue to slowly erode some of the national platforms. Little by little, I look at some of the numbers, especially at networks, and it's not impressive unless it's a football game. So take that for what you will. But 2020 has been a very interesting year. And I hope everybody listening, understands that I am 100% in favor of everybody getting together with their families, everybody having a great year, everybody celebrating. I don't know if you Christmas carol. I don't sing. I don't do any of that shit. I don't carry a tune. But I really hope everybody understands that this political atmosphere of lockdowns and shutting things down, and we're going to close businesses, and we're going to go to 25% occupancy, we're going to go to this, we're going to go to that. I will go on record and say it repeatedly. We should be 100% in charge of our own personal safety. And I think some of these approaches to lockdowns, especially now that the cure or the vaccination is being released, are so ridiculous. Because we're in the midst of a Christmas season. Give these people a chance to fight for their business. Give them a chance. give some of these restaurants and give some of these small businesses a fucking fighting chance. Okay? At this point, you're just an asshole. You're just a fucking asshole. If you're an elected official, you're not listening to science. You should be listening to your heart, and you should be listening to the basics of fundamental freedom. Give these people a fucking fighting chance. You see people in tears because they're losing what they've spent years building. I talked to a friend who owned a restaurant, and it's been in his family for years. And he's saved money, done everything right, paid taxes, all the things. He said, John, I'll be honest, I don't know if we can survive. I don't know. I've given people flex time off. I've allowed people to time. People need to make money. And people that can't make money. You know, we've gone to takeout. We've done everything creative. Take home and cook it yourself meals. We're doing everything we can. And he had a thriving business. And right now, he's almost reduced to tears. It's like, I don't know. Maybe we can make it to March, April, limping. But we're at the behest of, like, the governor walking in and saying, no, I feel like we'll go with 10% occupancy. I feel like we should close. I feel like we should open. I mean, that's insane. That's insane. You know, I have to say this because it needs to be said. And when I say these things, much like in the firearms business, when I'm critical of certain things, people say, John Bartolo, he's just trying to be a lightning rod, or he's trying to be a this or a that, or whatever term they come up with. A disruptor. It's one of my favorites that I've heard. It always cracks me up, the people that say that stuff, because they're listening, right? So they clearly hear the episode, so they pay attention. But I don't try to be any of those things. If you spend 10 minutes not talking about yourself and talking to some of the people around this industry, or you have the way I have over the years, these answers, these conversations are conversations that have been going on forever. A lot of the things that we've discussed very openly, and we'll have more firearms executives on, a lot of these conversations that we've had very openly, very honest conversations with a lot of them, these are all real conversations. I was very tough on the NSSF and the handling a SHOT Show this year, but that was an easy one. We've seen shows literally die in the fitness industry. And I've seen some of the NSSF guys. I don't think they make it to a lot of gyms, and I don't think they've seen a lot of fitness. But the Olympia has been dying on the vine for years. They tried to save Flex Magazine. Didn't work. It's turned into like a T-shirt sale at those shows. Everybody knows it. The Arnold's been able to survive because it's a different kind of show, and it has multiple sports involved in it. And I try to explain to people this whole idea of a trade show being, you know, the number one thing to raise funds. Whoever came up with that plan is crazy. It's a crazy person. You lock them up. So I think what COVID, and this isn't about that, but what COVID has brought out, or what this environment has brought out, is you have to think out of the box. You have to start to create streams of income out of the box. You cannot be thinking in the box. And if you're thinking, oh, next year we'll just re-up and do whatever, whether it's a show or it's this business as usual, you can't count on that. You cannot count on that. The way that we've seen politicians clamp down on gathering and get-togethers and things like that, we cannot count on that. Because if you're counting on that, you may as well fold it up now. Because we don't know what they'll say. Oh, at 20% of the population being vaccinated, then we'll open everything up. At 30%, I've heard 50%. I've heard all these numbers. Crazy numbers thrown around. In my opinion, it should be open now. If you have a vaccination and you're already starting to distribute it, I mean, we're supposed to be the greatest, most mobilized and mechanized country in the world. Get it out. Push it out. I don't know. The same way you wanted to test people and report that people were dying from it, and literally everybody that's in a hospital right now should be being issued it. Boom, 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 boom. It's my opinion. I mean, a plan? The plan should be, here's a fucking cooler of these things. Just start giving it to everybody. Start shooting it. But there's got to be a plan, and there has to be a meeting, and there has to be, a panel, and everybody's going to be heard, and Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx, and everybody has to show up, and I have to get a new ascot and a haircut and whatever. It's too much. It's all exhausting. It's too much. But I do think we are marching towards a very, very unique time. I think, when I looked at sports this past year, I saw the NBA just started back up. It's nice to see them back in their normal uniforms and all that jazz, whatever. I thought what they were doing when they were in the, whatever it was, the dome, whatever, the bubble, I thought that was ridiculous. Sports has to get back to just playing sports. Stop worrying about trying to get your opinion heard and be some half-ass politician and I'm going to say this and, whatever. You get tired of hearing oh, I think this and I think that. Listen, you get paid millions of dollars to play a sport. Just love that. You can only fuck it up from there. It's enough. But I think sports needs to just get back to business as usual. That's what people want. They want to be entertained. They want to be entertained. They want to love their hometown team. Don't ruin that for people. There is a responsibility in that. Don't ruin that for people. Sometimes people just want to root for the Celtics. Just want to root for the Celtics. I hate to give my Bill Belichick answer. Sometimes people just want to root for the Patriots. Not 7 advocates on the Patriots that want to sound off. Just fucking play football. Now, with all that being said, I appreciate all the supporters of the show. The show's had a great year. We moved into this facility during the middle of COVID. As you can see around me a little bit, and someday we'll get to doing a tour. We get to enjoy, 2,000 square feet in here of fun and games, a green room, and we've spent a lot of time with some special guests and created some really fun and unique memories. When I started doing podcasts, I remember doing some shows and enjoying it and getting a chat with some people. I just really loved, and if you know me personally, I just really love getting to meet, some of the people and getting to spend, some time with them and learn. And, I was always never the best at, I didn't have all the answers at anything I did. And I'd always like to bring in people around me that had some expertise in areas I was weak, and I would get the opportunity to kind of chat with them and spend time with them and learn from them. And that to me was really critical. And the podcast really became an excuse to learn and to develop some of that knowledge, and put it on air. So when I'm sitting with people, I'm kind of, learning their mindset, developing a little bit. What's up? I got a ping. Someone said, what's up? Learn from them, develop the mindset that I thought, if I could just take a few things away from some people and learn, I can get a little bit better each day. And I also was really quick to realize, you can't, do the gym fitness thing forever. You can't do this and that you can't do everything forever. I had no desire to be on a range at 60, 70 years old or anything like that. Not that I ever instructed or anything. No, that was never my bag. That was always a funny thing to me early on in my career. People thought that. I was like, any desire to do that. But I enjoy doing this. And my goal for the show has always been the same. To put as many people in front of you that are in and around our industry that we love, and not put the same 6, 7, or 8 faces that you see everywhere else. I think it's important to have some of those people on. I think they have a place. But I by no means want it to be, whether you call it a podcast, a vlog, an experience that said, here's this person, whomever it is, for the 6th time, for the 7th time. And you've heard from them 8 different ways. And I wanted to have real people on, people that cut their teeth in their respective business. Real MMA fighters, current, that we look up to in the defense industry, experts, real pro shooters. I think I'm the only show that's had all 3 Glock pro shooters on and all 3 SIG pro shooters on, including the heads of the NSSF, the NRA, and I believe SCI. The respective heads of each area. I don't know another show that's done that. While at the same time exposing you guys and gals to some people around these industries that I thought, maybe people don't know that this person is pro 2A or this person is pro this or pro that. And I think that that's really important. Because the more people we can kind of bring around to start to have these conversations, the more you can say, wow, I didn't think of that market. And I was having a conversation with a key executive in the firearms business, very key executive who'll be on again very soon to sound off on some things. And we were just going back and forth, and I always say to him, there's so many undernourished markets because we get so obsessed with just the Mill-Leo genre of our market. We get so obsessed with it. And we just focus on that. It becomes almost like but if you ran a straw poll of who comes in and buys product, it's not a large piece of it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news to a lot of people. It's not an extremely large piece. That we lose sight of so many other genres that become undernourished and really undersupported. But I also think it's very important to have spokespeople and to have leaders in our industry that actually have seen a CNC machine, that have actually worked in the business. And I don't think we've had that. I can go back to NRA's Ackerman McQueen days when they had Dana, Dom, and was it Colleone? And some other people, I don't know. And not taking anything away from any of them, but geez, I said, it'd be nice to have someone from the business. But even Ackerman McQueen screwed up. Because when you don't have a voice of the guy who runs the lathe in your shop, and you don't have a voice from the person who designed a firearm or and I'm talking about brand new, maybe holds a patent or two, I think that's sad. It's the equivalent of saying someone's an expert at cooking but has never cooked, they only ate the meal. That'd be weird, right? I'm a head chef, but all I've ever won is a pie eating contest. That'd be strange. But our industry has always been that way. And I truly believe it's one of the things that holds us back. Because we never take the time to understand what really makes the industry tick. Because a lot of those guys don't want to, some of them don't want to talk. Some do, some don't. It's hard to get some of them out. It's tough. But it's always been a drawback of our industry. It can be a strength at times, but I think to build a true voice, they have to really understand this business from the inside out. You know, why do a lot of former players make, you know, sometimes great GMs or managers? Because they understand things from a floor perspective. You know, one of my unique abilities when I was working, and even now, is I spent a lot of times with the guys in the field. And I was one of the few executives that always did that. Whether it's taking a class or just hanging out on the range, spending time listening, learning from them. I developed a little bit of like an understanding, okay, these are Tony's gripes, these are this one's gripes, these are that one. I try to like understand their place in the universe. And I think that's important. And I think we need a lot of that going forward, a lot of understanding. And we have to not be afraid anymore of asking the questions. Okay? That's one thing I'll never stop doing. We have to not be afraid to open up the dialogue. Let's have a conversation. You know, let's put more people in front of the camera. Let's put more people in front of the microphone. You know, and when I started the show, one thing I was kind of sick of, because I just don't believe you can complain about things and do nothing about them. I was kind of sick of it just being about photos. I'm like, I would go around, I would talk to these people, I would pinch myself. Like, these people are great people. So many awesome people. And none of them were ever talking. It was always a glamour shot or a photo or a look at me, a da-da-da-da moment. And I was like, why don't people do more of this? Why don't we have more video? Why don't we have more audio? And the hard part is always developing a platform. And, you know, I waited a long time for one to come along. I know myself, Jonathan Turnbow, a lot of us have advocated for different forms. We've talked about it. We have prayed that it would come along. Maybe the NRA will do it. Maybe NSSF, maybe this, maybe that. And we never really seen it develop to the level. I had high hopes in the beginning for Recoil TV. I know I had been critical of them lately, mainly because of some of the pricing and some of the way that it's like one big ad page. It's weird. But I had high hopes for that. I thought that would become a platform. It hasn't panned out. At least I haven't seen it pan out the way that it could. But who knows? Things do change. And that's one of the biggest things, you know, to understand in this conversation. Things do change. People do change. Leadership changes. Things evolve. This show will evolve. Leadership will change. Believe me. At a lot of these entities, it's going to have to. That's just the real reality. I think it was Brittany May from Point Firearms Training I had on said it. You know, there's a lot of people in this business, and if you travel around, and even in fighting, MMA, that they're just nice guys, you know, like they're nice. And they get in that good old boy network, and they're just nice people, and I'm in the firearms business, or, you know, I do this, or I do that. And for a long time, you know, I feel like this show was through a lot of pipe bombs. I like to use the term pipe bomb. And I think that there's others that have done it, but I think that was necessary. Got another, I think it's a question coming in. Let's see if I can. Yeah, we're going to talk about the new pistol brace thing. Somebody just touched on that. I'll touch on it now. You know, things do evolve. And the pistol brace thing, you know, it's interesting. Everybody went all up in arms about the bump stock deal, the the problem with the pistol brace thing, in my opinion, is the ATF has never got it right. I think we all can agree with that. They dug, I guess, from their perspective of SBR. Listen, it all boils down to money. That's it. It's follow the money. The ATF wants to make money, right? So how does the ATF make money in terms of tariffs and tax stamps, things like that? Obviously, you don't have to be a genius to figure out that I think they've seen a decline in SBRs, because I know I've seen a decline in SBRs even being produced at a production level, right? So you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out that the amount of tax stamps being filed for SBRs is probably down, and probably has been down. You think that's a fair statement? Or at least it hasn't met projections. I think that's an even fairer one. So why? Because pistol braces, right? So pistol braces come along, and I don't think the ATF, in their infinite wisdom, really understood them when they hit the scene. Okay? So they're entering now into a conundrum, because you see a lot of things coming out that there truly are pistols. I know in the beginning it was kind of like you just took your SBR and slapped a pistol brace on it, you were good to go. But now you see things like the Sig Copperhead, CZ's pistol. I mean, these things really kind of have carved out a genre of their own. And they truly are pistols. And the ATF has now backed itself into a corner where there are so many of these out there. And then people are only going to buy more now because of that scare. That they've entered an area where it's completely unenforceable. It's like saying, we made weed legal for a few years, but now we're going to make it illegal. And it just gets into this area where it's like, do we even, I believe they said there were 4 million plus registered pistols out there, plus probably another 2 million that aren't registered as pistols that now are, probably, right? That we know of. And how do you do that? Let's get them. Let's offer $50 for every brace. I mean, it just becomes like one of those things like, is this real? Like, from their perspective, it becomes like, is this the hill? I don't know. And it has become a genre all its own. It really has. Because do you go and say the Sig Scorpion is an SBR? It's kind of its own thing. Some of these pistols that are out there, B&T has quite a few. I mean, there's a lot I can think of. I could rattle off a bunch. But it really does come down to the money. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into Obama era versus Trump era versus this versus that. Democratic presidencies will always sell a lot of guns. But I just think, yeah, I mean, I think if what you're getting at is how they kind of bungled the approach to classifying it. I've said this ad nauseum to anyone that'll listen. The biggest mistake made in any administration is not putting a panel together of people, right, from the industries. I know in the beginning, Trump's intention was to have like a business owners panel. This was talked about, firearms industry, a lot of different industries having these panels. And I thought that was a tremendously smart, insightful thing. I thought that would have been an amazing thing. It didn't pan out for a number of reasons. You get too many chickens in the chicken house or hen house or whatever you want to call it. But I think the ATF, in all honesty, would benefit from a lot of guidance from the field and from people in the field to just say, hey, what is this? Where does this go? Because I'm sure the ATF sees a lot of submissions of wacky stuff in plain English that they're trying to figure out too, and they just don't have the manpower to see. Like, when a pistol brace came out, did they really envision that it would become what it did? And by the time they blinked, it was too far along. I know that there's a lot of people out there, believe me, that'll make the case for bump stocks and for this and for that. I get it. You know, it's like people have criticized me for my thoughts on full auto. Okay? But it's not a take on full auto. It's not a hit piece on full auto. What it is trying to explain to somebody that you're ignoring where we are, which is my greater issue in that argument. We have to understand where we are. I can't unravel where we are. I can't just run around and have the luxury of say, shall not be infringed. I'm sorry. I live in the real world. I'm a realist. You know? Shall not be infringed. It's not a great defense sometimes. And it certainly doesn't work when you're in the boardroom trying to do a deal or trying to get a deal done. And the ultimate goal, despite everybody's initiatives, is national reciprocity, in my opinion. I thought national reciprocity should have taken precedent over the Suppressor Act. It's my opinion. It'll be my opinion till the day I'm dead. I thought that was the time to pursue it. It's my opinion. I'm allowed that still, right? In America. I hope. But it's all about the money. I have no doubts that if we pulled the figures on the amount of SBR submissions, it's way down. I don't think that's a far-fetched conclusion. I think the ATF looked at it, saw the decrease in SBR submissions. They lose $200 every time. And I think part of it might have had to do with some of the companies that have been pushing the envelope with pistol brace submissions. Maybe. I don't know. That's a guess. But my guess is every Tom, Dick, and Harry tried to jump into that game and push the envelope. Well, what was getting pressed through? You know? I don't know. I don't work for NRA ILA. I have some conversations at high levels with some people about this stuff. I have. It's a great mug, by the way. If you're watching on YouTube, you got this. This is crazy. And it's wood, too. I feel like I should be drinking mead out of it. This is like oak. It's kind of wild. It's huge. You can put like a gallon of fluid in it. Fucking nuts. Looks like somebody made it with a hatchet. I'm going to have to order more of them. Figure out where they came from. So that's my take on the pistol brace. So the ATF recently released guidance basically dropping the whole deal. And that's the right thing. The ATF should let sleeping dogs lie there for a little while, in all honesty. Yeah, for that crazy. It is a crazy mug. It is. What's going on, Eric? Trying to read people's names. I got to get closer because the monitor is really not that close to me. And I got another monitor here. I got 3 monitors in here. It's a little... Times I got to pay attention. But I appreciate the comments coming in, you guys. And share the show. So I do want to touch on this. When you guys that have been supporters of the show share the show and take a moment to push the show out there, this to me is the platform. To me, to all you guys out there listening and that take the time to listen to this episode, the more you share it, I will share everybody who tags me in their stories on Instagram and everything else. Because the ultimate goal here is to get this show to be a platform. to push the Second Amendment agenda, to push the narrative of just having conversations with people that enjoy shooting, self-defense, all the different genres that we love. But without you guys' support, without the reviews, without everything, we're never going to grow this. And I wouldn't have done this if I didn't believe I could do it in the best way humanly possible to get us out there. So without you guys, without the shares on LinkedIn, without the shares on any other platform, Instagram, Twitter, Parler. I've been critical of Parler lately because I think it's got to work some bugs out. And when I'm critical of something, I'm not critical about it for life. Despite everybody's beliefs, if I have an opinion on something, it doesn't mean I'm going to have that opinion forever. I like to see some changes there. Okay? When you post something up, and it reaches 2 people, I'm going to be a little critical of it, especially when it says you have X 300 or 400 followers, whatever that is. I mean, am I being censored here too? Like, Jesus, what's it going to take? But I want everybody to know that I'm open to learning. If somebody wants to sit down with me, I have friends that are friends with Dan Bongino. I know he's dealing with a lot of personal shit. My prayers and thoughts are with him, just the same. But I'd like to see that open up a little bit more, give people a little bit more of a open shake. But I love when people chime in and say, you're mad because it's not, you're not reaching million. No, but if you think it's not gamed, you're fucking crazy. Let's put some common sense into this, people. But I'm open to, new ideas. I'll try anything once. But I do believe that this is a platform. I'm not up here as a political pundit. I'm not up here as a someone who I think is, going to change the game overnight. I think it's about over time putting people in front of you guys, having conversations with folks from different genres and having ongoing conversations with some people. This year I've had a few repeaters, not many. I think it's like 5 or 6, not many, because they're people I enjoyed talking to. And they're people that I think you guys enjoy hearing from. Ed's Manifesto is a phenomenal guest. I mean, what a great guest. He's got a story every time. He's entertaining as hell. He's not someone I want to do a one and done with, That's a guy who doesn't love hearing from Ed? I mean, if I could put all his stories into a 2-hour segment, that'd be amazing in itself. But you can't. That's why he's such a great guest. There's people that I just enjoy hearing their story. I still have a love for the ocean and for hearing about sharks, and I grew up in New England and I love Jaws, so I love that genre. I want to get some cosplay people on. I think that's an unexplored genre. There's so many areas that I have on my checklist of buttons to push. I still love hearing from shooters and from people in what I call like entrenched in our business. Our industry's dealt with a lot of stuff, and a lot of people I'm close to are dealing with some things. So I'm waiting for them to kind of dig their way out. And I think a lot of people are still trying to figure out what the next step is for them and post-shot show, post-no-shot show, So it's coming. We'll have to see. But without you guys sharing and pushing this out there, this is for you. And if you have somebody that you'd like to see on, I'd love to have them. I know coming up next year, we're going to have a lot of really great guests. I've booked out, I think we're pretty steadily booked out into March with some people being thrown in as time goes on. But I can't, get everybody. It's not always possible. I do want to have as many fresh faces as we can. I love having the fighters on too, because I think that they love coming on, and it's a genre that we love exploring, because it's not just about firearms, it's about combatives, and I love hearing their journey. It compares very well to ours. You know, I always loved seeing those guys at SHOT Show. You know, you see Chuck Liddell and some of those different guys walking around the shows. And they're some of our biggest allies. You know, I know Brady at Right On, we talked about it on his show. Used to eat a lot of crow for being, you know, very supportive. Oh, yeah, just another fighter. When we have fitness guys in, oh, it's just another fitness guy. Legitimately, I had companies that have blocked me. I never blocked them. Companies. True story here. I could name the company if anyone wants to call it into question. That have literally said, what's with all these bodybuilders? I'm like, what? You don't want their money? Are you stupid? You get this mindset of like weirdness. It's really strange. Really strange. We're so welcoming of some genres, and then some genres come in and it's like, whoa. And when I said that to them, they were like, oh, I'm not saying that. Oh. You want one? You know, one of the best conversations I had, and I hope to have him on soon, was, you know, Ryan. I have to be careful drinking from this because it's like a chalice. It's huge. Look at it compared to I got like oven mitt hands, and it's freaking huge. Was Ryan McMillan. So Ryan was on the show, and I said, you know, are you like checking for like badass IDs before people give you their money? And he's like, no. Like, he's like, I think that's preposterous, and that's coming from a guy who was a Navy SEAL. I mean, it's absurd. It's like the theory of stupidity and how not to run a business if you try to limit yourself like that. The idea here, guys, in case you haven't thought it out, is to put as many firearms into legal owners as humanly possible, and happily sell the idea of shooting in our industry. And there's people that get that. Diana Mueller gets that. Okay? I believe that the NSSF and NRA get that. I believe that there's a lot of people, my jiu-jitsu coach, Coach Casey Halstead, he gets that. You know, there's a lot of people that get that. Then you get these people that I call them like tactical elitists that don't get that. And I believe at their core, a lot of the advocates, use the term advocate in our industry, get that. You get some people that like, whoa, you know, they want to like fight it. It's got to be an operator. It's got to be this. It's great. If you want to make your brand around that, fuck, who am I? Cool. I want everybody to listen to this show because I feel like it's going to create open lines of communication. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're right wing. I don't care if you're a middle wing. I don't care if you have no wings. If you're a listener, a hater, a lover, whatever, great. You know, and I'm always learning and taking notes. I'm open. But I've appreciated everything that's come this year. I've not appreciated some things, but I've appreciated almost everything. I've appreciated everyone. And I thank you guys that have supported the show, shared the show, commented, even now, and have attempted to push the show out there. It means a lot. And I answer your questions, you know. I don't do, like I said, I don't do a lot of standalone shows because I just don't think I'm that interesting to sit here and do a show that's just me spouting off at the mouth for an hour. But I did want to take the time to wish you guys a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and let you guys know and just reaffirm my commitment that I'm trying to bring you more exciting people and put them in front of these gun walls and put them in front of you to have a conversation. And I get calls, just so everybody knows, I get calls from everybody in the industry. And I do the best I can. I have a team. It's not just me, even though you just see me sometimes. I have a team. People who've been on the show see it. There's 3 or 4 of us that we're doing the best we can to put the best product in front of you. And we're going to get better. And I don't rattle off the list of sponsors because I think it sounds cool. There's a lot of people that support the show. There's people that are constantly attempting to support the show. I don't say no. I don't say yes to everyone. I do the best I can to thank them. And we list them off, and I hope that you guys go and support them and let them know that it's because of the show that you're supporting them. So I thank everybody from the heart. You know, I jokingly tagged the Thunderdome, and I always say two people enter, 1 leaves, as an ongoing joke, but I try to make this the no BS area when it comes to this genre. But I think this genre needs that. We don't specialize here. We're not specializing in MMA, jiu-jitsu, shooting, eating, kung pao, kung fu, anything. We're trying to specialize in giving you an honest-to-goodness platform that we can just have a conversation. If you disagree, come on. If you agree, come on. Don't agree too much because then it won't be interesting. But I do believe that the show is long overdue in this industry because I'm not doing just a commercial for a product. And that's something I've had a lot of battles on the phone, on the cell phone with executives over this. Because I think once you start doing that, and that's a pitfall that I think a lot of platforms have fallen into, and people, where they just get up there and they say, oh, this is a Glock 19 review, or this is a review of these, this, or this is the best pouch that's ever lived, or, stay tuned for another review of this or a review of that. I think that's great. And if people make money doing that, I think that's awesome, being a review person or being a QVC commercial. I think it's lame, but whatever. If you're into it, you're into it. I'm not judging. I'm not judging you. I don't watch that shit. If I like something, I'll buy it. I'll try it for my own fucking opinion. Having that secondhand thought process is a dangerous one because I think people do that with people. They don't know someone. They maybe know them from the internet, which is an easy thing. They form an opinion, right? And they're like rigid in that opinion. They get thick in that opinion and they fall into a trap. Oof, I don't want to be that guy. But I appreciate you guys. And I'll ask, as I do, from the heart, please take a moment and go leave reviews on iTunes over the Christmas season. If you're sitting and you listen to this episode and you like it, or you like the show, or something grabs you about the show, go leave a review. If you get the opportunity, go leave a comment on YouTube. If you're listening, go share it in your stories. Take a snapshot in your car, or, if you're listening on YouTube, go take a snapshot, share it. I'll share it. If I see it, I'll push it out there. Or leave a comment that you shared. I got criticized once for doing, I don't even remember that I did. I might have. Dude did a giveaway. He does giveaways to get viewers. I don't know what that means. I've run ads and done giveaways, I believe. But I think everybody's done that, right? That's all like a reward back to you guys. I think that's a good thing. I don't know. Apparently some people think that it isn't, but I think everybody gets an opinion today, right? I want to do a giveaway to just put a listener on the show. Just got to get around to it. It's having the time. But I want you all to know from the heart that I appreciate everybody. Sponsors, supporters. I appreciate it every time somebody leaves a thumbs up. I appreciate it every time somebody leaves a comment. I started posting the reviews because I wanted people to know that I took the time. And all that stuff costs money. But I believe that that should be supported. So if you like this show, do those things. I get a kick out of some of the comments. But I do still take the time to read them all. And if you want to be a guest, the best way to be a guest is to get a referral. Because the amount of solicitations that come in is a lot, and I'm grateful. And we do our best to sift through them, whether it's a sponsorship opportunity, whether it's I still get some stuff, and I want to give a shout out to, I think it's some of the companies like that send plate carriers and bags, and we do our best, guys. We do our best. And the best thing to do is if you support the show like that, is come on the show or say, hey, I'd love to hear from companies. But that would require a little bit of effort beyond just putting something in the mail. We get a lot of stuff in the mail. I could pan this room. Mission First Tactical recently sent mags and wallets, and I can't imagine, some of the cost of some of the things that come in. I get shirts because I refer to the show as the Thunderdome. This was one of them. I try to wear them. 2 men enter. I think it says one man leaves. Reference to Mad Max, which is cool. I try to support those things. Kuyu has been a major clothing supporter. If you like Kuyu, I love some of their non-hunting lines. They're solids. Obviously, I ruptured my Achilles. It's not really a secret this year. Didn't get out hunting much. Literally at the start of hunting season, ruptured my Achilles. I think I lost 80 or 90% of the attachment. Rehabbed it. That was something that was going on quietly this year. I had a brief stint in the hospital. So working through some things too. Life, it's not just about this. There's life that goes on. But I thank you guys just the same, and I hope everybody has a great Christmas. If you don't have anywhere to go at Christmas, you have no family, you have nothing, hit me up. Give me a call. Let me know. If you just need someone to talk to and you're listening, shoot me a DM. I mean it. Do my best to respond. I try. But the reality is, this is a great time to reflect. And your opinions of 2021, 2020, I'd love to hear them. I'm sure I'll get around to posting some reflective post or comment down below on this. And if it's the holidays and you're getting yourself a gift, which I imagine we all do, we do it. I'm going to get myself a little something. I tend to buy myself sneakers. Little known fact about me. I buy sneakers or I buy shoes for myself. It's a good time of year. I buy 4 or 5 pairs of fresh kicks. And I don't go out and buy some crazy tactical shoe. I buy a sneaker or a cross trainer that I like. That's what I'm into. Another comment here. Thumbs up. Appreciate that from all you guys. And go leave some comments down below once this hits. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate everyone on the show. I want to thank the sponsors again. Every guest gets a goodie bag. I'm going to take a minute to thank those people. Every guest gets Pink Box Donuts. I want to thank Pink Box. It's a local mainstay here in Las Vegas with some locations. Most of the time for lunch, we're getting Bagel Mania. Delicious. It's right in the airport. So appreciate Bagel Mania. I want to thank Pelican Products. We've been giving guests some Pelican products lately. And I look forward to Pelican being a part of 2021. I want to thank Manscaped. A lot of the guests that have been on, male guests, have gotten kits. We've done a lot of that. I want to take a minute and thank some of them. Thanks, John, for all you did. No problem. I want to thank one of the night vision companies that supported the show. This year, and particularly the support from the companies that just send products. Okay? You don't go unnoticed. So AMG Global Vision, Night Vision, and Thermal Imaging, we appreciate you guys. There's a link for you guys. And that link will stay there for a while. You know, when I go to the widescreen shot of the show, or I take a minute to show the wall, there's some products from them. There's some products from Trigicon. We appreciate them. There's multiple products that Kenzie's has sent for the guns on the wall. I want to thank Sig's Hour. Sig will be taking a more proactive support in the show in 2021. I want to thank them and their support. And I want to thank the team. Photography and production. It's not just me. The clips. A lot of support. Every guest gets a bag from Grey Ghost Gear. Collapsible bag. Enforced weapon lights. Has kicked in a lot of handhelds and rifle and pistol lights through the years. Matt over there has been a tremendous supporter from behind the scenes. So appreciate him. I appreciate everything. And I hope everybody understands the mission of the show and why they should support it and why they should share. This, I feel, is one of the best approaches to bring people in front of firearms and in front of this community in a way that I feel is going to get pushed out there and get us into different genres. If you like MMA and you've tuned into this show, I want to bring you some awesome MMA guests. If you like firearms and you tune into the show and you've gotten a peek into other areas and other genres you hadn't thought of, good. That's what we want to do. It's the general idea. Is get some interesting guests and bring awareness. More political people I can put in front of you, or potential political people. That awareness piece is important. And hopefully, you know, you listen, you reflect, and you say, oh, I didn't think of that, or I didn't think of this. You know, if you want to be a part of the guest experience and things like that, and you send stuff in and, you know, you don't feel like you got a fair shake, just remember a lot of the sponsors that I read for, they pay a lot of money to support the show and support this movement. And that's important to me. And they put a lot of time in. I didn't build a lot of these walls on my own. So I appreciate everybody that's supported. And Right On Optics. A lot of these guys have not only put their money where their mouth is, put their product where their mouth is. Hell, they've also come out and done the show. Said, I want to come out. I want to support it. As loud and proud as I can. And that means a lot. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everyone. Have a great holiday. Have an awesome New Year. Send those resolutions. And I thank you guys. And hopefully I'll see a lot more of you guys in 2021. Make sure you share, post up, talk about, do what you can. Thanks.